I housed my sister when she had nowhere else to go, and she repaid me by stealing my kids' Christmas money, so I called the police, and now her new home is in jail. Posted by you/no_Heron5186. I, 34F, am a single mother of 3 girls, 13, 8, 2. I let my sister, 31F, move in with me 2 months ago, and she stole from me. I am fuming as I type this up. Let's call my sister Sarah. Sarah lost her job about 4 months ago, got kicked out of her apartment 2 months ago, and didn't have anywhere to go. Being her big sister, I offered her a place to stay while she figured things out. Being a single mother with no one to turn to sometimes, I felt sorry for her, so I figured I could help her out in this rough patch. I even started helping with daycare fees for her 3-year-old son because I know how tough it can be to make ends meet. Things started out okay, but I began noticing small red flags. First, Sarah's boyfriend, who I'd only met 3 times, started coming over almost every day while I was at work. I didn't love it, but I thought they both needed support, so I let it slide. I did let Sarah know that I didn't want him coming to my house every day, and he stopped coming for a while. Then, one day, he just popped back up. It wasn't long before I noticed other strange things happening. At first, I thought I was tripping. Little things would be moved in my bedroom, or stuff in my bathroom would go missing. At first, I thought it was my daughters, but the things that were touched or missing were items they either don't use or have their own of. So, without telling anyone, I put a camera in my room. I saw Sarah going into my room when I was at work. I confronted her and told her, without letting her know about the camera, that I knew she was going into my room and if she did it again, she was out. She gave me a half-baked apology, and we moved on. Well, yesterday, when I got home, I noticed my closet door was slightly open. I knew something was off because I never leave my closet door open. As I was looking through my closet, I noticed one of my handbags was missing. I had been saving up about $2,500 for Christmas gifts for my kids in that handbag. It wasn't in an obvious spot either. You would literally have to dig under about 7 other handbags to get to that one. My heart dropped because, first, my money was missing, second, that was the money for my kids' Christmas, and third, my sister was nowhere to be found. I knew right then and there that Sarah had taken it. I immediately called her, but she wouldn't answer. I checked the security camera footage in my room and saw Sarah's thieving bum in my room going through my closet. About 5 minutes later, her boyfriend, let's call him Ryan, came into my room too. They had to have picked the lock because I made sure my room was locked before I left for work that morning. They spent 45 minutes in my room, going through all my stuff and trying to put it back like it was. I was devastated. I let her move in with me rent-free and bill-free, and this is how she repays me? About 2 hours after I got home, Sarah and Ryan showed back up. I confronted her immediately. At first, she flat out lied and denied it, claiming I was mistaken or that I had misplaced the money. But I didn't back down. I told her I had the entire thing on camera, everything, including her and her boyfriend going through my things. She was caught red-handed. I told her she had until the end of the day to return the money, or I'd be pressing charges. She started freaking out, saying I was being unreasonable. I really wanted to put my hands on her, but I have too much to lose. She even tried to drag our dad and her mom into the situation, calling them to intervene on her behalf. But I wasn't having it. I told them both to stay out of it, that I was handling it my way, and they had no right to defend her when she was clearly in the wrong. And if they wanted to defend her, they could give me the $2,500 back. That shut them right up. I also told them they didn't have the right to say anything to me about this because they were willing to let her and their grandchild sleep outside because they weren't ready to have a toddler around right now. By 8 p.m., she still hadn't given me the money back, and I had no choice but to call the police. I filed a report and gave them the footage. By the time the police got there, Sarah and Ryan had jumped in his car and left. They're both on the run now, and no one knows where they are. I'm sure she's trying to hide, but I have no idea if they'll even come back or if I'll get my money back. I'm still in shock. I've always tried to help her, and this is how she repays me. I can never trust her again, and right now, I don't even know if I want her in my life anymore. It's one thing to make mistakes, but to steal from family when I've been helping you? It feels like a betrayal on a whole new level. I'm just wondering, should I have handled this differently? I really wanted to hurt her, and the only reason I didn't was because of my daughters. Even though they aren't with me right now, I still don't want to mess up there in my future. I got a call from one of my cousins, and she told me that she was on my side, but she also mentioned that my dad and his wife called her mom, trying to talk junk about me. My aunt shut it down. She apparently told my dad that he and his wife created the monster my sister is because they never said no and gave her everything she wanted. I love my aunt for sticking up for me. I'm just trying to process everything, and honestly, I'm struggling to figure out what comes next. Update 2 days later. Hey everyone, first off, I would like to thank everyone for the kind words and support. It really means a lot to me. So again, thank you. To the people saying it's my fault, you can go to hell. That just shows me that you would steal from anyone at any time if given the opportunity. Now, for the update. Bear with me, I worked overnight last night and barely got any rest today because of this situation. When I got off work this morning, I really didn't feel like going upstairs to my room, so I laid on the couch. Around 10:30, I heard someone at my front door. When I opened it, it was my sister, looking stupid. When I realized who it was, I punched her right in the face. She tried to run, but I grabbed her and pulled her inside my house. She was alone. I asked her where my nephew was, and she told me he was with her childhood best friend, who I'll call Alex. I didn't believe her, so I made her call Alex so I could see for myself, and he was. Thank God he's with Alex because Alex is an angel. I asked my sister where my money was, and she said it was gone. I said I knew that, but I wanted to know where it went. This idiot looked me in the eyes and told me she and Ryan spent the money on DoorDash, going out to eat and weed. I just stood there and looked at her. She didn't say anything, and I knew she thought I was going to punch her again because every time I moved, she would flinch. After what felt like hours of me staring at her, I called her a dumb BTCH. I told her she needed to explain herself. What pissed me off was that she wasn't even looking for the money, she was looking for my handgun. She told me that Ryan had convinced her to go to her old job and get revenge for firing her. I told her she was a dummy for going along with that plan. I then asked her why she was fired because she had told us her job had to lay off people due to a drop in business. It's a small, family-owned grocery store. Well, come to find out, she and 4 other employees decided they didn't want the 15% employee discount or the $19.50 an hour they were getting paid. They wanted free merchandise and free money from the registers. My jaw hit the floor. Her former employer told her that if she paid back the money she took, he wouldn't press charges. I asked her how much she took, and she said it was about $690, but I think it was way more. Ryan didn't like the idea of her getting ripped off and came up with this plan. She knew I had a handgun. What she didn't know was that I take it with me everywhere I go because I have a concealed carry license. While she was talking to me, I recorded the whole thing. She then told me the real reason she got kicked out of her apartment. She had told her landlord that if he didn't let Ryan stay with her without being on the lease, she would get a bunch of people to beat him up. The landlord filed a police report and had her evicted 10 days later. But what really pissed me off was that she admitted she never once checked on her son the whole time she was on the run. She said Ryan didn't want him around, so she took him to Alex. At that point, I snapped. Everything, from her stealing from me to abandoning her son, just came out. I've never yelled or cursed at anyone like that before. I really let her have it. She started crying, but I couldn't care less. She tried to talk, but I told her to shut the F up because I was done with her crap. I told her she was a piss-poor excuse for a human being and a mother. I told her she should be ashamed of what she did to me and how she was treating her son. I told her I was going to help Alex get custody of her son because she didn't deserve him. She tried to talk again, but I wasn't done. I also told her she was going to jail, and Ryan was too. She really started crying, but again, I couldn't care less. I was yelling so loudly I think the neighbors heard me and called the police, which I was going to do anyway. So, thank you to my neighbors. When I opened the door and saw it was the police, they asked me if everyone and everything was okay because they could hear me from the street, and my neighbors were concerned. I told them no and explained everything that was going on. Sarah was just sitting there like a deer in headlights, trying to play the victim. She told the police that I gave her the money. I wanted to jump on her right then and there. I told the police that the previous officers had footage of her and Ryan going through my stuff. One of the officers ran her name, saw she had a warrant for her arrest, and put her in handcuffs. They took Sarah outside and searched her. The police pulled some money out of her pocket, and she told them to give it to me. This stupid idiot wanted them to give me $24.76. Yes, I counted it. I told them to keep it because she was going to need it. The police asked her how she got there, and Sarah said Ryan dropped her off. They asked her where Ryan was, and she said he was around the corner waiting for her. When one of the officers went to check, the dummy was still there, sleeping. So, he went to jail too. I called my dad and told him what was going on. To my surprise, he must have had a change of heart. He told me that after my aunt read him the riot act, he took everything in and realized we were right. He told me that Sarah was going to have to pay for what she did. I also told him about my nephew, but he already knew he was with Alex and was glad he was with her. I told him about helping Alex get custody of my nephew, and he told me to do what I had to do. The reason I want Alex to get custody is that she's great with my nephew. She loves him, and he loves her. He's also happier when he's with Alex. Even when she would visit Sarah, my nephew wouldn't leave Alex's side. She also said that if anything ever happened to my sister, she would take my nephew without hesitation. Sarah's mom is pissed at me because I won't drop the charges, and I gave the police the recording of her telling me her real plan, which added more charges. I told her that if she were a good mother and raised Sarah right, we wouldn't be going through this. She called me a BTCH and hung up. I blocked her. She can deal with Sarah and pay for the lawyers. I'll make sure I'm at every court date for Sarah and Ryan if possible. I don't want either of them getting out anytime soon. Well, that's everything that's happened. Thank you again for the support and kind words.